Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Thule WingBar Edge roof rack, and we're going to see how it works with our 2025 Mazda CX-30. Now, a roof rack is a really good way to carry those extra items on your journey that you either don't want riding in the vehicle with you or they simply won't fit. And in the case of the CX-30, you do have some cargo room back here, but it's not a significant amount. And if you're going somewhere with 4 passengers, all that cargo could fill up really, really fast. A roof rack like this one, you could put all sorts of different items up here. It could be a platform rack. It could be a cargo carrier. There are bike racks that can go on the roof, as well as kayak carriers and an assortment of other different things. These are all great items to put up here. And basically, because of the shape of these are an aero bar. It's going to have a wider front and a narrower back. They're much more aerodynamic than a round or a square bar, and therefore much quieter as you go down the road. We can use our clamp-mounted accessories on these, and up top here, there's a slotted weather strip that's going to allow us to slide in our T-track accessories, and that's going to be accessible through our tower covers right here. So this roof rack is going to offer a weight capacity of 165 pounds. However, you always want to double check your owner's manual and see what the vehicle's rooftop capacity is. Whichever number is lower, that's your max weight that you can carry up on your roof. And the WingBar Edge is a flush crossbar system, and what that means is that our crossbars are going to dead end into our towers. Now, this is very different than an overhang in which the crossbars are going to come out beyond the towers. So while we do have less bar space up here to work with, it's going to kind of force us to put our cargo toward the middle of the vehicle rather than closer to the edge. It is going to provide a much more streamlined look. So aesthetically, a lot of people like the way that the flush bar system works, especially if more often than not, they don't really have any accessories up here at all. This does have a cleaner look without accessories on it, in my opinion, than an overhang. But also because it dead ends into our towers, we are going to have a bit less bar space up here on the top. So let's get up on the roof and take that measurement along with a few others and see how it actually fits on our CX-30. Well, now that we're up here on the roof, you can kind of visually see a few things about our crossbars and our rails that we're going to have to take into account whenever we're doing our installation. One of the things is that the CX-30 isn't a very long vehicle, so the rooftop going this way is pretty short. And what that does is it makes our rails have a really aggressive taper, very narrow in the back to very wide in the front. So we're going to actually have 2 different usable lengths on our crossbars here, and that's only because they dead end into our towers. So on our back bar, for where we have it placed, we're going to have about 30.5 inches to work with back here. And on our front bar, we're going to end up with about 33.75 inches to work with. So generally speaking though, because of the way that rooftop accessories work, a lot of the rooftop accessories like a cargo box or something like that, you're going to be pretty limited to whatever space you have on your back bar. Now, we'll talk about this in the installation coming up in a little bit, but because there aren't fixed mounting points on our rails, we do have a bit more freedom to move our bars forward or back and things like that. I space these out in a very specific way because every rooftop accessory has a minimum and a maximum crossbar spread. And your crossbar spread is the distance between your 2 bars. So the way we have it set up today is I'm going to measure from the middle of the weather strip on one bar to the middle of it in the back. And we've got this measured out today at around the 27-inch mark. Now that's okay with me because most rooftop accessories, that minimum maximum crossbar spread falls in between 25 and 30 inches. So having this at the 27-inch mark, I feel pretty good about the fact that there are going to be a lot of rooftop accessories that I'm going to be able to use with this setup. The other thing that I want to double check on is how much height is this going to add to my vehicle? So if I go from the middle of the roof on the front bar, this is going to add about 4 inches of height to the vehicle. On my back bar, we're actually at about the same at 4 inches. So if you're worried about a low clearance area and you know your vehicle height and you know your accessory height, Add 4 inches to that to get your overall height whenever you're coming upon an area like that. The other thing I'm going to take a look at is how much space do I have underneath my bar. And underneath the bar, we're looking at about 2 3/4 inches. That's more than enough room for my clamp mounted accessories to go around the bar and get tightened up as necessary before going down the road. Now, we touched a little bit on installation, and I'm going to walk you through that right now. So to begin our installation, we've got our fit kit that is vehicle specific, we've got our towers, and we've got our crossbars. Now, there are going to be 2 different crossbar sizes. The shorter crossbar is going to go on the back bar. We've got the longer crossbar here because we're going to be installing the front. Other than that, though, there is no difference in how they install. So we do have our back bar mounted already, and I'll walk you through how to do this one. So you're going to take your tower and you're going to remove the tower cover, just like that. Set that aside. Now, on our crossbar, we're going to see this square opening here. And what we're going to be doing is fitting this in and lining this tab up with that. So I'm just going to insert it here, slide it on over. Once I get it to that point, you can depress it with your thumb. And it is a pretty tight little fit. Depress it with your thumb. If that's not going down too well, just use your Thule tool just to kind of give you that extra bit of leverage on it. And we can slide that across and into place. Just like that. Now we still have maneuverability to go in and out, but it's pretty much locked in. It's not going to be coming out at this point. Once I've got that complete, I'm going to go ahead and install the weather stripping. So we're going to have to basically tear this in half to start. And we're going to see these little lips and grooves on the underside of it. You're also going to see that one of the sides is plain, while the other has these arrows. The arrows are going to go on the front of the bar, facing the front of the bar. So we're just going to go ahead and just start going down the line and just kind of depressing that into place as we go. Okay. Once we have that in place, we're going to go ahead and take the back one, and we're going to install that along the lip and the back. And before you start depressing, another tip, just make sure that it's going all the way across. Don't leave yourself a gap on one end. They're going to line up pretty well and flush to it. So just make sure as you're doing it, you're going to leave it flush with the end of your crossbar. But that's going to install the same way. We're just going to kind of press it in as we go down the line until we've got a good tight fit all the way to the end there. So once we have it complete, your weather stripping on the top is going to look just like this. At this point, we're going to turn our bar over and we're going to start installing our fit kit onto our towers. Now, the fit kit is going to be labeled. They've got each part stamped A, B, and C, and that is the exact order that these are going to be going on here. So we're going to start by installing part A. Now for this, we're going to have this bolt sticking out. We're going to thread that bolt through this hole, and we're going to make sure that these tabs end up here on the top. So it's going to go in just like that. After that, we're going to take our rubber foot pad here, labeled B, and that's just going to press into these holes that we see from underneath. And we want to do that in a way, too, that this back portion of our clip is going to be going over it. And that's going to go on just like that. It's the same installation on both sides, so we're going to go ahead and do this to our other tower before getting it up on the roof. So when placing your crossbar up on the roof, you want to make sure it's facing the correct direction. Remember, these arrows are going to be facing the front of the vehicle. Another way to tell is that the narrower end of our crossbar is going to be facing the back, while the wider end is going to be facing the front. So once you have that orientated correctly, we're going to go ahead and get this up and over the roof here. Now, if you have a friend to help you out, that's great. If not, it is something that can be done on your own pretty easily. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that my rubber foot pad is seated correctly over the top of this rail, and I'm making sure that the clip in the back is reaching under and grabbing this lip. This has the same shape and type of lip on either side. So we're just going to make sure that that's going to be seated in a good position there. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side and double check that as well. Now, if you do come up a little short or a little long on the other side, remember we could still maneuver our crossbar a little bit back and forth so we can get it in a position that we want it. So before tightening our front bar down, I just want to talk a little bit about bar placement. So my back bar is completely installed already, and in order to determine where I wanted to place that, what I did was on the top of the rail here on our CX-30, we've got these little tabs here that can be opened up that have some anchor points. I want to make sure that the bar is going to be perpendicular to these rails, and I want to make sure that that measurement is equal on both sides. So what I did was I took the front of that tab and my rubber foot pad, I measured it to be 1 inch between them, and I'm double checking on my passenger side to make sure I get the same measurement. If I do that across the board, my bars are going to be, or my towers rather, are going to be directly across from each other, and that's going to help guarantee that both of my bars end up being parallel. So that's how I ended up making my placement or determining my placement of this bar. For my front bar, I'm going to use my back bar. And what I'm going to do is I'm taking a measurement because I do want to get to a good crossbar spread just to make sure that I can get as many accessories up here and different accessories as I can. I just want to make sure it's going to be compatible with it. So I'm measuring out to have a 28-inch crossbar spread. So that's the center of one crossbar to the center of the other. If I double check that measurement on both sides and it's equal here on my driver's side like it is on my passenger side, I know that I'm going to have bars on my roof that are going to be parallel with each other and therefore safe to load up some cargo. Now, before putting your clamp on, you always want to make sure that your rubber foot pad is seated both front and back. You do have some room to maneuver this a little bit laterally so you can make sure that you fit with the contour of these rails. But once you have it seated in a good place, we've double checked all of our measurements, everything is looking good. We're going to go ahead and take the C portion of our fit kit. We're going to put it around the tab of our A portion up here, and we'll have the bolt right there in the middle. At this point, we're going to take our kind of special shaped nut here, and we're going to slowly just kind of thread that on. And I'm just going to tighten it up until it's snug. And when I'm doing that, I'm taking this front clamp, the C clamp, and I'm making sure that I get it all the way seated up under this lip as I'm getting it snug. I don't want to completely tighten it yet. I want to do this on both the passenger and the driver's side. This is just going to make sure that it's not going to be going anywhere on me as I make any kind of final adjustments. Once I have that done on both the driver and the passenger side, I'm going to go ahead and take the provided Thule tool and I'm going to tighten through this bolt here. Now, this is actually a torquing tool, so it's going to let us know when we've got it tight enough. We're going to hear a loud click when that happens, just like that. Now I'm going to just go ahead and do that on the passenger side, get that tightened down, and once that's done, go ahead and give the bar a shake test just like this. What you'll find is that really you're not getting any movement or anything out of the towers. You're going to get the car shaking a little bit, and that's good. That means we got a good tight hold up here, and it's going to help us make sure we carry our cargo safely. So with that being done, I'm going to do it on the passenger side before getting our tower covers. So at this time, we're going to grab the appropriate tower cover. These are pretty easy to spot in that this wider portion is going to be facing the back. So they are going to be driver and passenger side specific. So just bear in mind when you're trying to fit these on that you're going to want to pay attention to that. Now, out of the box, these Thule towers do not have a lock core. They're going to provide you with these plastic lock cores, a plastic tab to catch back here that you can open and or lock and unlock rather using a flathead screwdriver or coin or something like that. But that's not really a very secure way to keep your crossbars up here. They're pretty open to theft if you have something like that. Thule provides what they call the one-key system, which means you can get metal lock cores with keys, and not only that, but have them keyed alike to your other Thule accessories. So if you have a Thule bike rack or maybe a cargo carrier up top that has a lock on it, you can get lock cores for each of your towers with keys to match, and they can match the lock cores on your other accessories. That's just going to help you out with a lot of the clutter on your keychain. You won't have to guess which Thule key goes to what. Any Thule key you have can open any of your items. But for now, we're just going to leave it open, and I'm just going to slide this into place. And normally once it's in place like that, this is the point where I would go ahead and lock it. Once that cover's locked, people won't be able to access the weather stripping inside of here. And any of your accessories that you have in the T-slot up there is going to be safe from theft as well. So not only is it a metal key going to help you out as far as keeping thieves away from your crossbars, it's also going to help keep thieves away from those T-slotted accessories that we have up there as well. So there you go, very simple installation. It can be done on your own. Having a friend around to help make sure things get lined up on the other side can make it go quicker, but you can absolutely do this installation on your own. But if after watching this video you decide that the Thule WingBar Edge is the roof rack for you and your Mazda CX-30, if you get it, install it, have a chance to use it a little bit, we would love to hear what you think about it in the comments below. Sharing your experience with us and other neighbors just like you can help them make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.